Hi everyone, I'm Shelly and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. Today I wanted to talk about an issue that is permeating both the secular and the faith communities. We need to stop being afraid of speaking the truth. The problem started out subtly, I believe, but over the last few years, I have noticed that we have been completely inundated with talking points and with conditioning that is telling us that we need to avoid speaking the truth at all costs, lest we offend someone. And at first, when this whole culture started, I know that a lot of people scoffed at it. But what I'm seeing is that we have been pummeled so intensively through this entire time that more and more people are now backing down and are refraining from saying things that really need to be said. And this includes people in the faith community. This even includes church leaders. And this is something that we need to stop. We see our society crumbling. We see it spiraling downhill faster and faster. And so many times we ask ourselves, how? How is it happening this quickly? Or why is it happening this quickly? And there are actually a couple reasons. The first one is that, and this one I'm more addressing to believers, but a lot of believers no longer understand the difference between exhortation and judgment. And I think this is something that is really important. There are a lot of believers nowadays who think that if you are trying to teach, if you are trying to speak truth into people about things that are happening in their lives or in this world, that if you are offending even, the smallest group of people, that you are being judgmental. And that is not what exhortation is. Being judgmental or judging someone means that you have a harsh opinion of them, and that you are using harsh words about them, and that you are coming up with your own idea of who they really are. Exhortation is coming from a place of love. It is coming from a point of seeing what is happening and wanting to either rescue that person, rescue that group, rescue society. And exhortation comes from seeing things through a biblical lens. And I think that's really something that gets us into trouble, is not knowing the difference between exhortation and judging. Since one of the most common phrases that you'll hear nowadays is, "Don't judge me. You're judging me. Why do you keep judging that person?" We, even as believers, we start to feel that, and we start to rethink ourselves when we're saying things. And you know what? When we do say things, we should rethink ourselves. And we need to think about the motives that we have behind what we are saying. We need to think about why we are saying them. We need to think about how we are saying them. But if it is genuinely coming from a place of love, and if it is coming from a place that has a biblical lens, we need not be afraid to speak these things. Lately, I've noticed that we're constantly being sidetracked by whataboutisms whenever we try to exhort people. When we try to speak on abortion, we are told that we shouldn't speak out on abortion because some people need to have it, whether they are assaulted or because of medical issues. And so what they tell us is that no, that's off limits, so we should never talk about that. And I've also been noticing that even in the homeschooling community, I recently posted something on Instagram, and it was just a quote that was basically saying that it is a bigger sacrifice to send your children to public school than it is to homeschool. And that was really the gist of it. But even there, I was told that I shouldn't be saying these things because how would that make someone feel who is a single Christian parent? And the thing is that unfortunately, there are outliers in every situation. There is always going to be someone who is not going to who's not going to be in the large group of people that you're talking to. And we need to pray for those people. We need to pray for the people who are in these situations. And we as a church need to take a bigger step up, and we need to help these people that are the outliers. But it does not mean that we should stop talking about these things. Because if we stop talking about some of these things just because there might be someone out there who is hurt by what we're saying, people are not going to learn the truth about anything anymore. And that is really, that's what they want. They, the infamous they that I always talk about, that is what they want. Whatever happened to grace and truth? That's my question. I think that nowadays people are so, they're so driven by showing people grace, and we should be showing people grace, but they are so driven by showing people grace that they have forgotten the truth aspect of it. And yeah, sometimes some people are driven too much by the truth aspect of it. And I really think that's a downfall that I have. I'm one of those really black and white thinkers. So if I see something that I think is wrong, yeah, I'm going to speak up about it. And sometimes I don't show the grace that I should. So this isn't even something that I'm saying that I don't do myself, but we need to have a balance of grace and truth. Without that, our society is never going to survive. And unfortunately, I see the way things are going, and it doesn't look good for us. So I've been reading a book by Elizabeth Johnston, and it's called Not on My Watch. And it's about all of this stuff that we've been talking about, and about the fact that we see everything coming crashing down around us, yet we don't seem to understand why it's happening. And she is very blunt about why it's happening, and I think that she is very correct about why it's happening. Because while we, and this is specifically addressing believers, but it could even be addressing people who just have the conservative values that we are trying to keep in our society to kind of hold us together. What is happening is that we're just sitting back. And as she mentioned, we're having, our little Super Bowl parties at church, or we might be having church potlucks. And of course, we're having our prayer meetings, and prayer meetings are definitely, prayer is one of the greatest ways that we can fight and win these battles. But in the background, what's happening is that then we're getting sidetracked, and we're just going back to our everyday lives. We're watching TV. We're spending too much time on our phone. And while we are being complacent, while we are being afraid of speaking the truth, lest we offend someone or lest people think that we're judging, we have an entire group of Marxist activists who are coming for us. And while we have been trying to just stay in our lane, so to speak, they've been organizing, they've been training, they've been mobilizing, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but they have taken complete advantage of the fact that, yeah, unfortunately, we were all taken in by this conditioning. And they see that. And they are taking this to their full advantage. And they are doing everything that we should have been doing too. So what has been happening since they have been doing all of this organizing and training and mobilizing is that their cause has been pushed to the very forefront of our country, and it is completely rewriting our nation as we see it. Because again, I can't say this enough, we have been too complacent. Look at the changes that have taken place in just the past couple of years. Look at what is being taught in our schools. Now, you know that I'm not a huge fan of the public education system, but you've got to admit that there has never been a time that it has been as bad, and the things being taught in school were as evil as they are right now. And that is because we have had people pushing for this narrative, pushing for this agenda, and they are getting their way because they are actually doing something. They're not just spending their time having potlucks or having Super Bowl parties or sitting and watching TV. They're out there doing something for their cause. And the passion that they have is the passion that we need to have if we are going to bring back truth to our society. Speak truth into people's lives, even if you think that it might offend someone. How many people can hear the gospel because you are not afraid to speak truth in a day and age where we're warned that if we speak, we're going to somehow face the repercussions of it because no one wants to hear the truth anymore. That's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one either here or on Instagram. Have a great day.